me up, so now I got to try to be good, and I just kicked sugar this last week, which is really kind of kicking my bottom hole. So if I told you I was at 100%, I'd be lying to you, and I don't want to lie to you guys, so I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to tell you that kicking sugar sucks. But anyway, Radio Free Fargo, you're listening to it. 4 to 5, Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. We're going to talk about cannabis legalization, and boy, I got a lot to talk about, but you're going to have to hang with me until we get to 420, and then we're going to open a big fat bag of cannabis news, and again, it's just pushing the Ziploc open. A lot of stuff to talk about. South Dakota got a lot of fun stuff to talk about, so we'll get to that. And then Stinky Arts Music Mart, 5 to 6, and then Locals on the 8, and then Radio Free Madness wraps up your beautiful Thursday here at Radio Free Fargo, 95.9. Welcome, everybody. I'd like to think that you guys took out special time to come and listen to me talk about the benefits of cannabis, and so I'm going to do that. Again, I mean, I had to pick and choose the news this week. I mean, and I don't really do like, I'm going to talk about this next week because I didn't talk about it this week. I don't do that. I talk about the new stuff, I couldn't pick up. It's almost like sloppy seconds of cannabis news. You know what I'm saying? And I'm a Christian. I can't do that. But anyway, I don't know. How high is this stinking weather? Too high to drive. That's what I'm saying. Fargo, that's where I'm hailing from, wherever you guys are at. We appreciate you. All right. This show, Canna-Talk ND with Wilson, is brought to you by Black Cottage Alchemy. Black Cottage Alchemy's got several things in its line, but the body butter is what people holler about the most, and I'm included. Like I said, I just read 2 things, toe and foot fungus and tattoo aftercare. Isn't that like A to Z? That's like A to Z. And so get you some of this, blackcottagealchemy.com, Black Cottage Alchemy on Facebook, or you can go downtown here, and while you're downtown, stop at Tochi Products. Go into Tochi Products, get some of this, tell Joe Wilson sent you, and sign the ND for Freedom of Cannabis Act petition that's in there. Again, every day you go to bed's one day closer to the signatures being needed, and there's a lot needed. So if you haven't done nothing, do something, and tell somebody else to do something, and let's get this thing done. And I heard that a couple people, or one person, was downtown hawking the signature board at the Broadway Square, so I salute you. I also want to say the New Life Center helps people who are homeless and hurting go from merely surviving to truly thriving. Their aim is to help people in need discover value and find hope. The New Life Center has evolved into a multifaceted emergency and crisis service center. To learn more about NLC, visit their website at www.fargonlc.org or give them a call 701-235-4453. And like I always say, I believe cannabis was made by a creator, and you do it however you want. But if you're looking for a place, South Fargo Antioch Church, Sunday morning, check it out. All right, Radio Free Fargo, 95.9. You got Canna-Talk ND on YouTube. This show will come Saturday at noon. It'll have the music removed. So there you go. Although last week we kind of stuck that stinking positive remix by, what's his name? Forget his name right now, but it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about cannabis. I'm kicking sugar. It's a nasty, nasty thing. But again, I feel like I'm in a tunnel a little bit. Maybe I sound like it. But again, just bear with me till we get to 420, and then I will crack open that bag of cannabis news. Again, right before me was Side Stage with Trav. He had some Fix It Forward people in here. They got a little shindig happening in Moorhead tonight, I believe. 32 Below was in here too. And, if I was a blind detective, I could have figured it out. Again, they don't pay me to say the words that I say. You know what I mean? But anyway, why don't we get into a tune really fast here? This is brand new Todd Snyder, Battle Hymn of the Album on Radio Free Fargo, KRFFM. Oh yeah, that was Todd Snide putting that Battle Hymn of the Album in your face. That's off the First Agnostic Church of Hope and Murder here on Radio Free Fargo, KRFF 95.9 LPFM, where I'm in Fargo where the weather's higher than me. That was a joke. I'm here to change the law, not break the law. We're going to talk about cannabis at 420. Got a lot of news to shove down your throat. And so it's going to be real exciting. I just wanted to say ND for Freedom of Cannabis Act. That's a petition that's being circulated around North Dakota. So find out where it is in your town. And if it's not in your town, then put it in your town. Put it in your town. But anyway, 21 plus to possess. 12 plants you can have. Licensed business. What more can you need? You can go to Orange Records, Tochi Products here in town. I know there's other places, but again, I'm not connected at the hip like that. So all I know is what I know. In downtown here, Orange Records, Tochi Products. And then when you're in Tochi Products, feel free to hit up some of my sponsors, Body Butter, Black Cottage Alchemy. Okay, that's all the shameless plugging I'm going to do. It's all about cannabis news here at Canna-Talk ND. It's 420 degrees in the studio. I'm dressed appropriately. I hope everybody else is too. I mean, this weather gets hot. What I don't like about it is they rarely make summer T-shirts with pockets. And I just love a pocket so I can put my phone in it, you know. But anyway, let's talk about this. This is from Normal. This week marks another critical mile marker on the road to ending cannabis prohibition in the U.S. By the end of this week, Connecticut, New Mexico, and Virginia will all have abolished criminal penalties for cannabis possession. That means that by week's end, 14.3 million more Americans will live in a jurisdiction where the adult use of cannabis is legal. In all, 145 million Americans, are just shy of half of the U.S. population. Just let that kind of roll around in your head, ball. Now reside in reform states. That's right. 145 million Americans are just shy of half the population of the U.S. now reside in reform states. So let's just give those 143 million people a hand. Well, that's great news. And we'll talk about more about states that are, because, I mean, it seems like something just kind of happened overnight where everything, you know, well, I guess it's July 1st. And July 1st was the deadline for a lot of the states. And so that's what you get there. And so I got some more time to chat with you knuckleheads. So let's, I'm going to break this off for you here while we're at it. Let's see if I can find it. You know what I mean? All right, there it is. Okay, well, this is from Valley City. Cannabis plant seized. And they use the word pot, which, again, they must not have taken the oath to solemnly swear to never use words like weed, marijuana, pot, and call it cannabis. So help you, Valley News Live. But anyway, cannabis plant seized, men arrested in alleged cannabis growing operation. I mean, they used weed and marijuana in the same sentence. Get your life together, Jordan. Just kidding. One man is in the Barnes County Jail after coppers seized cannabis plants in his apartment. This is Valley City. Authorities were tipped off about the cannabis growing operation in Valley City, and that's kind of where I want to focus my text on this sermon. Is authorities were tipped off about the cannabis growing operation. Got a search warrant to inspect the home. And again, this guy ain't up to nothing bad. He's not a cartel guy. Chances are there's some medical cannabis need and people in the Valley City area that can't, you know, sell their house to pay for their medicine. Chances are the regulation and the regulatory framework in North Dakota with the medical program is so tight and stringent, where if only if you make 6 figures a year could you benefit from medical cannabis. Well, the other people want to benefit too. You know what I mean? So chances are this guy was just, you know, doing somebody a health benefit. But again, I mean, who we got outside? Like Karen, doing binoculars? You know what? It's something like, oh yeah, hi, listen, I just want to tell you, so when police got to the apartment on Wednesday, June 30th, they found several cannabis plants along with other items. They got a search warrant to inspect the home. Just from a call-in? I mean, it seems like Valley City, there's got to be at least 2 tweakers tweaking with chemicals and heat that, you know, could have gotten their attention. And that's what just kind of blows my mind. This is low-hanging fruit. And even if this guy was giving his buddies it, even if he was giving buddies bud, who cares? Tweakers are going to be tweaking, though. You know what I'm saying? I mean, but again, you can make money off this. You know, taxes will pay for him being in jail. Taxes will be paid for him being arrested. Taxes will be paid for him in court. Taxes will be paid for his, you know what I mean? This is nothing but a money grab. And it's got to stop, North Dakota. It's got to stop. You understand what I'm saying? But anyway, Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. Every Thursday at 4 o'clock I get in here. I make you wait till 4:20. Then we open a big fat bag of cannabis news. But I just broke you off a little taste right there. Now it's time to get back into the tunes. Here's Stereo MCs, Connected. I got caught planting seeds on my private property featuring Twain. That was a Sugar Shack session. Langhorne Slim right there in your face, 2020. And then right before it, Get Your Mind Connected. Stumble You Might Fall. That's right. Stereo MCs off the Connected album. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson at 4:20, which we're right on the heels here. Radio Free Fargo, KRFF 95.9, RadioFreeFargo.org. You can donate. You can listen anytime you want. And it'd be nice if now was the time that you wanted. Sneaky Arts Music March right after me, and then you got Locals on the 8, and then Radio Free Madness. And then it's Friday, and then you go to bed like you're supposed to. But I'm going to... Oh. What's that? All right, get your medical card, put ice in the cylinder. I'll see you in 10 to 15, 16, 17 seconds.
Yo, it's Wilson from Canna-Talk ND. You know, the super awesome show you're getting ready to listen to. I think you should go and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'll wait. Okay, enjoy the show.
Blah, 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 huh? All right, Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. We've made it. Hello, everybody. Hi, guys. How you doing? Looking good. Hey, how you doing, ma'am? Nice hat. Anyway, we got some cannabis to talk about. Cannabis legalization, that is. And I got a bunch of stuff to talk to you about. But first, let me say what's going on in North Dakota. In North Dakota, you know, nothing going on but some dude in Valley City getting, you know, jacked up for some plants. Because, I mean, when is everybody going to realize, and by everybody, I mean the law enforcement and legislators, you know, the people that should be doing what we want have decided to stop doing what we want as the people. But when are they going to realize, oh, yeah, it's just a plant, you know? And even like in Colorado and stuff, right? Like, I don't see warnings on cannabis, you know? There's warnings on everything else that's legal that you buy, that you use recreationally, of course. But again, cannabis has a medical application. It has an agricultural application. But anyway, Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. If you just stumbled into 95.9 here, I'm going to talk about cannabis for the next few times. It's times 210. All right. Oh, and if you just started tuning in, I've been kicking sugar since Friday. So, you know, this show might be just a tad bit different because sugar is the devil. Okay? But anyway, so what's happening in North Dakota? ND for Freedom of Cannabis Act. It's a constitutional amendment. It's a great measure. Second time they're attempting to do it. If you haven't gotten signatures or you need to get signatures, jump on North Dakota Cannabis.com. They can hook you up with anything you need. If you're going to sign. If you want to be the guy getting the signatures, do that. They have till January, I believe, of 2022. I think they 26,000 signatures. And so they can take all the help they can get. And if you see them in your neighborhood, you know, give them a signy sign. And 21 plus to possess 12 plants, licensed business. And as far as I know, that's the only thing going on in North Dakota. Now let me get to South Dakota. Boy, oh boy. So I think technically today, medical cannabis became legal in South Dakota. Now I'm going to read you a few things. You know, so, you know, if you want to take notes, you're an idiot. Anyway, starting tomorrow in Minnehaha County and Lincoln County, Lincoln Country, small amounts of cannabis are effectively decriminalized for all adults age 21 and over, even if you don't have a medical cannabis card. Now, I want to mention the South Dakotans for Better Marijuana laws are awesome, and on their Facebook. But I don't have to subject cannabis into all the dirty words they use. So that shout out to them. So anyway, small amounts of cannabis are effectively decriminalized for all adults age 21 and over, even if you don't have a medical cannabis card. This is excellent news. So again, if you're in Minnehaha County or Lincoln Country, do something, buddy. Anyway, the Nome administration has said medical cannabis ID cards issued by Native American tribes won't be honored by South Dakota State Troopers unless someone is enrolled in the tribe issuing the cards, which again, I don't even know what I just read. Flandreau Santee Sioux Tribe Attorney General Seth Pearman has pushed back, saying that the policy would violate Measure 26. And I'm sure there's some, you know, sneaky reason why it, you know what I mean? Everything's just crap, you know, because it's not about the benefit of the people. It's about either getting your piece of the pie or complicating it so somebody else doesn't get the piece of the pie because you didn't. You know, it's like, grow up. At the same time, the Nome administration has finally acknowledged that it will fully comply with important patient protections contained in Measure 26. These protections apply to anyone, even if they don't have medical cannabis patient ID card. Let me read that again. These protections apply to anyone, even if they don't have medical cannabis patient ID card. South Dakota State Troopers will not arrest medical cannabis patients so long as The individual possesses no more than 3 ounces. And let me see what else here. More news. The Rapid City Police Department has stated that it will not arrest medical cannabis patients who comply with Measure 26. Furthermore, any cannabis arrest for a small amount will, quote, depend on the circumstances of a particular situation, will be based on whether other charges are filed. Sounds like the cops are going to find anything, but it sounds good. That being said, authorities are not fully adopting the de facto decrim policy seen in Minnehaha County and Lincoln County, which I just mentioned. Also, searches and seizures as part of a traffic stop will be affected by the medical law. Of course it is. In your face, coppers. The odor of cannabis alone is not enough for an officer to search a vehicle. Oh, man, if I wasn't sitting down, I'd stand up. So if you all in South Dakota, give yourself a hand, because this is... Again, if I wasn't a man, I'd cry. All right, I probably would, but I'm busy talking. I can't cry and talk at the same time. But seriously, that's awesome. Let me read that again. Searches and seizures as part of traffic stops in South Dakota will be affected by the medical law. The odor of cannabis alone is not enough for an officer in South Dakota to search a vehicle. And we all know, and people who've been busted, I've been busted, odor didn't have to exist. The word, the ability to say it existed in South Dakota. If they could say it, they'd say it. They can walk up to you with 2 earplugs stuck up their nose holes, and they'd be like, I smell it. So for them to be regulated in this way is just great news. So anyway, I just wanted to give you that stuff. And there's way more stuff. But just Google it, because I'm trying to get through here, and I've got one more thing here I can read for you. And Flandreau apparently has opened their medical, and I'll get to that, but man, there's literally a dispensary in South Dakota on the Indian reservation that you can go and get some stuff. And in those Lincoln County and Minnehaha counties, you don't even have to have a medical card. So I don't know what that means to you, but it means to me, like if you got pulled over, you're like, yo, I left my medical card at home, brother. See what I'm saying? But I don't know. This is from Kevin, Kevn, Black Hills Fox, Rapid City. Legal documents can be difficult to interpret. With initiated Measure 26, potential criminal charges are on the line, meaning confusion can have consequences. So the deputy director of the Cannabis Policy Project wants to avoid those consequences. So anyway, if an individual were to find themselves in court facing charges for the use of cannabis and possess no more than 3 ounces and did not have a written permission from a doctor, then proving the existence of qualifying ailments that would have given him access to written certification could also be used as a lawful defense. July 1st is the day that law enforcement could be put to test to administer a tricky law properly. Everyone needs to be on the same page about how the law works. This afternoon, the South Dakota High Patrol released its framework as to how they're going to handle the implementation of Measure 26 starting tomorrow, which is today. Those guidelines say the patrol will not arrest a South Dakota resident who cannot produce a medical cannabis card provided they have less than 3 ounces of natural cannabis. I'm going to read that again because that's like right straight out of the Bot Bible. Am I right? Those guidelines says the patrol, a.k.a. copper, a.k.a. LEO, will not arrest a South Dakota resident who cannot produce a cannabis medical card provided they have less than 3 ounces of natural cannabis. They claim the medical cannabis is to treat a qualifying medical condition, and they can produce documentation about that condition from a doctor. The same goes for people who have a medical cannabis card from another state or tribal medical marijuana card. So it sounds like you're not going to be getting hemmed up like you used to. So again, if my arms weren't tired, I'd make us clap for South Dakota again, because that's really good stuff. And let me see if I got anything else here that was related to. All right, so this is Cannabis Moment. New cannabis laws are taking effect in Connecticut, South Dakota, and Virginia. But just like I said, in South Dakota, apparently you can be in certain counties with small amounts and not get hemmed up. So if you're in South Dakota, you'll want to, Google that, or go to South Dakota for Better Marijuana Laws, which South Dakota for Better Cannabis Laws should have known better. They need to call it Cannabis Laws. But it's all right. I'll let it slide because those guys are working so hard for cannabis legalization. And again, if I ever run into them, I'm going to give them a great big squeeze. So it's an active year for cannabis reform, and that's clearly demonstrated by the fact that new laws... Oh, just a side note, I feel like I'm doing pretty good. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson, every Thursday, 4:20. I open a fat bag of cannabis news. That's what's happening right now on KRFF 95.9. Just wanted to interject that, I'm off the sugar, but I feel like I'm killing this show so far. Recreational cannabis legalization policies passed by lawmakers are now in effect in Connecticut and Virginia. So that's cool. While medical cannabis has been implemented in South Dakota, this comes following voter approval of a ballot initiative. But again, we're still waiting for that. And it should have came today, I thought. So I think they pushed it ahead. So the judges, and this is for the recreational in South Dakota, because they were supposed to say July 1st whether or not they agreed with the single subject rule or whatever. But, I wanted to say too, if I didn't explain this properly. So Mexico, the south of the border, they have been pushing this cannabis legalization thing, right, for years, since the 18th. Well, when I read that the Supreme Court had kicked it out, I thought we were back to square one. But what they did is they kicked out the disagreement for it. So it's legal. It's legal in Mexico. Let's give it being legal in Mexico a hand. I mean, getting a taco and a pre-roll, or like deep fried like potatoes in like medicated oil. Oh boy. But anyway, not all the components of the new laws are immediately enforced. Here's a rundown of what is and isn't illegal in each state as of July 1st. We're not going to get too carried away here. I'm just going to kind of say what these guys can do. So in Virginia, you can publicly possess up to 1 O of cannabis by adults over 21, and personal cultivation of up to 4 plants at home is also allowed. Private sharing of up to an ounce of cannabis between adults is also illegal, as long as no remuneration is involved. According to a website, all records of misdemeanor possession with intent to distribute will automatically be sealed from public view in Virginia. Regulators can start developing rules for adult use establishments starting on July 1st. Connecticut can now possess as much as 1.5 O's of cannabis. However, there's a delayed rollout of home grow. I don't know why. Medical cannabis patients can start growing up to 6 plants starting on October 1st. When it comes to rec cannabis, adults in the state can begin cultivating for personal use on July 1st. So that seems backwards to me, right? But oh, no, that's next year. Okay, I got it. So as the state ACLU chapter notes, people under 18 can no longer be arrested for simple cannabis possessions, and those between 18 and 20 who possess small amounts of cannabis can only be punished by a $50 civil fine. That is banging. The smell of cannabis can also no longer be used as a basis for police to stop and search people. Man. Oh, I mean, anybody that's used cannabis medicinally for a long time, say 90s, 80s, when I just read that, let me read it again. The smell of cannabis can also no longer means you can't do it, be used as the basis for police to stop and search humans. Come on. So this is South Dakota. We pretty much know what this is. Governor Christie Don't Know opposed it. And it was crazy how, if you guys are connected and you're listening, how she came out and acted like she knew all along the benefits of medical and that she was helping. You know what I mean? She caused so much hassle and so much angst. She was pulling it down. It would try to go up and she'd pull it down. It'd try to get up and she'd pull it down. People work so hard because of her. For then her to come up at the day that it becomes legal and say something like, oh yeah, I've always been for it, it's always good. What? And if you've never followed Christie Don't Know's ridiculous view on cannabis, you would think, well, good, because a lot of people like her. They'd be like, oh, good, what a soundbite. But that's just words. We know she did. She did all kinds of stuff. She took taxpayers' money to actually, get lawyers to go against something the voters had already passed. She did all kinds of stuff. They had to work so hard to get this medical cannabis Measure 26 in existence. And it had nothing to do with her. She was pulling down while they were trying to stand up. And then for her to come out and say, yeah, look what I built. It's ridiculous. Get your life together, Christie. So anyway, the adult use measure was struck down by a judge in February following challenges. And so now they have to wait it. But the medical is still set to go into effect on Thursday, which we know. So I was just going to say a few other things here. Patients who have an out-of-state cannabis card or one issued by a tribe can now legally possess cannabis without arrest. Now, the guidance also stipulates that even for a person without a card, they will not be arrested as long as they're in possession of fewer than 3 ounces and claim to have a debilitating ... Home cultivation of up to 6 medical cannabis plants is also now legal for cardholders. I mean, I didn't read that. How come we didn't know that? Did you? Well, you guys in South Dakota probably knows that. But if you can go to South Dakota now, today, and your cousin can be getting Thanksgiving plants in the ground. But again, that policy change is still contingent on cards being issued. Oh, so you got to have a card before you can do it. But while state licensed dispensaries aren't expected to open until next year, a medical cannabis operation is actually launching on Thursday at Flandreau Santee Sioux Reservation. And I did a show probably 60 or so shows ago about all the all the Indian reservations that had got legal reservation to do it. And then they were scared because, no offense, but they were afraid of the white guy, the federals, the staties, to squeeze them. And so at the end of the day, they were smart. But now, today, Flandreau Santee Sioux Reservation, for the first time ever, as far as I know, maybe Michigan, but it's certainly in South Dakota, they're the only ones with a dispensary open right now. Not in other parts of South Dakota. Not in Sioux Falls. Not in Sioux City. But in Flandreau Santee Sioux Reservation, you can go and pick some stuff up today. And I can't tell you how awesome that is. So good for them, All you Flandreau Santee Sioux people listening, solid. Meanwhile, the Sheriff's Department of the Minnehaha County, the state's highest population county, recently said it will not be pursuing low-level cannabis cases, regardless of medical need because of the medical cannabis policy change. Similarly, the Sioux Falls Police Department and the Lincoln County State's Attorney Office said on Wednesday that they would be revising their enforcement policies accordingly as well. Stinking right you will. Get to changing them, huh? So that's awesome. That's awesome news. Man, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. So let's see here. Where should we go next? Let's go to here. Apple now allows us from Cannabis Moment. Apple now allows cannabis businesses on its App Store while Google maintains ban. Apple will no longer prohibit cannabis delivery services from being hosted on its App Store. One of the latest pro-cannabis developments to come out of the tech industry. The policy was updated last month to remove the ban with some restrictions. We don't need to go into that, but Google's Android App Hub updated its policy to explicitly prohibit programs that connect users with cannabis. And so that's good news, right? That's really good news. So this is from MJ Biz Daily. I had to complete a survey to get behind this paywall for you guys, so you're welcome. But whatever. So anyway, MJ Biz Daily. This is why Red, Oklahoma is home to a booming medical cannabis market. My sister lives here, and it's crazy how Red. Well, anyway, people outside the cannabis industry might be surprised to learn that the most liberal medical cannabis market in the country isn't California, nor is it Colorado. It's politically conservative Oklahoma. The red state has pulled a U-turn on cannabis policy since 2014, when state's attorney general, along with his then counterpart Nebraska, Pricketts, they did a federal lawsuit to overturn neighboring Colorado's new recreational cannabis. But the U.S. Supreme Court smartly declined to hear the case. Fast forward to June 2018, Oklahoma voters soundly approved one of the loosest cannabis programs in the country. 2 months later, Oklahoma regulators began accepting applications for business license. Sales began that December, by which point the state already had nearly 900 dispensaries, and it's been pushing the envelope since then when it comes to policy. Today, business is booming. Oklahoma has more than 2,000 dispensaries, the most in the nation. Sales via dispensaries will total $900 million to $1.1 billion this year, up some 25% from 2020. By comparison, Ohio, which legalized MMJ in 2016, is 3 times the population of Oklahoma, is projected to post sales this year of $350 million to $425. So a variety of factors make Oklahoma stand out: a lack of state license caps, no specific qualifying medical conditions for patients, low barriers to entry for entrepreneurs, which everybody should adopt that. Low barriers. Stop calling this a loose measure. This is really good stuff. Low barriers to entries for entrepreneurs? Why should there be high barriers? Consumption allowed everywhere that tobacco smoking is allowed, from public streets to bars. They've taken the glass ceiling of how high a medical cannabis program can go, and they've broken it. And Oklahoma has the most open medical cannabis in the system. So that's up from bop. So it includes 7,000 growers, 2,000 dispensaries, 1,400 processors, 25 testing labs, 2 researchers, That's crazy. So the state is home to 370,000 patients and 2,000 or so caregivers, which represents nearly 10% of the state population. So that's crazy, because the people that would argue and say they're just doing it, doing that dope to get high, would say that all of these 10% have medical conditions. You bet they do. I would say that 98% of the people everywhere has a medical condition. If they opened their medicine cabinet, that there would be something in there that cannabis could handle it for you. Because again, my PTSD dad, he takes trazodone. And because of the way he was raised and in the 70s, and he's a Christian, there's no way I could talk him into changing, for sleep and whatever. But everybody knows trazodone is gnarly. It's a horrible psychotropic. So nothing of that grows out of the ground. There's probably jet fuel in it, So it's just nobody is using cannabis like they should, except for Oklahoma. So it's ridiculously cheap to get in. None of this stupid overregulation. It was like a breath of fresh air, says this owner. Compared to California, it could cost 6 figures to just obtain a business license. Oklahoma is a dream come true. The barriers to entry remain low. The application fee to start a business is only $2,500. So that's sweet. So shout out Oklahoma. So this cannabis moment too. Federal agencies should reconsider firing workers for cannabis. Congressional committee urges. Man, what a great show. It's just so much good stuff to talk about. So a powerful congressional committee. Oh, and I'm going to end it with Clarence Thomas, which if any of you guys over 40, I think he was the one that was doing that crazy, some crazy scandal in like the early 90s. But anyway, I think he got busted for crack or something. I don't know. I'm making stuff up now. But anyway, they've released a report that urges federal agencies to reconsider policies that result in firing of employees. The employment language isn't part of the appropriation bill, but the committee supports the updated guidance of how an individual's use may or may not adversely affect the integrity. The policy should reflect updated changes. While not an explicit endorsement of loosening employment restrictions, advocates view the call for reevaluation as an implicit suggestion that the agency should revise their approaches. They're also happy about the banking, and let's see what else we got here. In any case, it's unclear. That was almost a waste to read. Sorry. So anyway, this is from the High Times magazine. Possession and home cultivation of adult use cannabis now legal in New Mexico. So shout out New Mexico. You're now legal for ages 21 and over. And again, if you're in North Dakota, ND for Freedom of Cannabis Act, 12 plants, 21 plus to consume and possess, and then license business. Check out your local town, ndcannabiscaucus.com for areas. If you're here downtown Fargo with all the cool kids like me, Orange Records, Tochi Products, you can get in there and sign. And like the chick was just out the other day, you can take your, get a clipboard and just wander around town. Like if you're a dude, wander around, hit on chicks, get signatures. If you're a chick wandering around, hitting on dudes, get a signature. Or whatever it is you're doing downtown. It's an unlimited equal opportunity whatchamacallit. But anyway, completely forgot what I was saying. Let's talk about Mexico. Oh, I'm making the connection to North Dakota also has a petition that's being circulated for cannabis legalization. So anyway, the Cannabis Regulation Act, adults who are 21 and older can legally do the following. They can possess, purchase, give other adults up to 2 ounces of cannabis, up to 16 grams of concentrate, and up to 800 milligrams of infused edibles. Adults can also cultivate up to 6 mature and 6 immature, up to 12 mature per household, create cannabis-infused edibles at home, or even make extracts, as long as it does not involve volatile solvents. Adults can also possess larger amounts of cannabis if it is stored in a locked space at the person's residence, hidden from public spaces, and possess, manufacture, and give away paraphernalia. This is a landmark day, a huge step forward both for social justice and economic development in our state. We are proactively stopping the disproportionate criminalization of people of color of cannabis possession. We are building a new industry in which all New Mexicans can participate, and that will bring millions of dollars to our local communities and our state. Half the American population now includes New Mexico. Today, there are 18 states, 2 territories, and the District of Columbia that have enacted legislation, as well as a court-overturned measure in South Dakota, which is still in the still included in some counts. Official counts will vary as some states New Mexico allows cannabis for both medical and recreational purposes, and that is just really great news. So let's wrap this show up. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. Every Thursday, 4 o'clock, I get in here. I do a bunch of paperwork. 4:20, we break out a cannabis bag of news. And that's where we're about wrapping up here on Radio Free Fargo, KRFF 95.9, radiofreefargo.org. You can stream it. So anyway, this is from Normal. Supreme Court Justice questions whether federal cannabis ban should remain in place. United States Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. I mean, I don't know about some of you, but he was in some scandal, wasn't he? Like back in the early 90s? Anyway, Clarence Thomas has called into question to the U.S. government's authority to impose federal prohibitions on the state licensed production and sales of cannabis. Because I might interject and say the problem with cannabis is it's still on the controlled substance level. It's in there with heroin. So you're not really going to get anywhere when you go, well, the law says this is still a controlled substance under whatever. So that really needs to be removed. And people are hesitant, but if that could happen, we could really see some progress, which I think that would require the federal government. The federal government's current approach is a half-in, half-out regime that simultaneously tolerates and forbids local use of cannabis. Thomas referred to legislation passed by Congress every year since 2015, prohibiting the Justice Department from interfering in states' medical cannabis access programs. So the Supreme Judge is saying, listen, we're already making concessions for states' medical cannabis access programs. And then saying that you're not for it, and they're not doing anything that you want, the people. This contradictory and unstable state of affairs strains the basic principle of federalism, says Thomas. And Thomas further acknowledged that times have changed significantly since 2005, when the Supreme Court ruled 6-3 that federal law prohibited any state-sanctioned use of cannabis as a medicine. Even in instances where there was no interstate commerce, Thomas was among the judges who dissented in that case. He wrote, whatever the merits were when it was decided, federal policies of the past 16 years have greatly undermined its reasoning. He says, to define criminal law and to protect the health, safety, and welfare of other citizens, a prohibition on interstate use may no longer be necessary or proper to support the federal government's piecemeal approach. Thomas issued his comments while presiding over the appeal. So anyway, Eric Altieri from Normal, he concluded it's time for Congress to end this untenable situation by removing cannabis from the Controlled Substance Act so that states can make their own decisions with regard to cannabis and cannabis commerce free from undue federal interference. And that's what I'm talking about. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. Every Thursday, I get in here 4 o'clock. I preside the super cool side stage with Trav. If you haven't checked him out, noon to 3, I would do that. Then you got Stinky Arts Music Mart right after me. Locals on the 8, then Radio Free Madness. I just wanted to say thank you guys for checking it out. Listen to me. And today was a pretty good show. I've got a headache. I'm a little fuzzy. Oh, and I'm wearing a mask, but it's not that. It's the sugar, I can assure you. This hour of programming on KRFF 95.9 LPFM is being underwritten by Memory Fireworks. Memory is locally owned and have been serving the region for over 40 years. Check out their Dakota and Memory series of fireworks in person at any of their 4 Fargo-Moorhead locations or visit them online at memoryfireworks.com. Light up the sky this 4th of July. I always forget this rhymes. Light up the sky this 4th of July with Memory Fireworks. And lastly, light up the sky this 4th of July with Memory Fireworks. You know what really would go good with this, Underwriter, is a kazoo. That would sound really tight. So anyway, let's bust out some tunes here. We've all deserved it. And it seems like this has been kind of what's been happening because Modest Mouse, that my daughter and I, hello, we got a Modest Mouse connection. So this is a new album, and he was just kind of releasing every once in a while. But now the whole thing's out, and so I'm just giving you one that I think I like within the time constraints that I put on it. That's fun. Devil's Lettuce, the Cadillac 3. Started off, We're Lucky, Modest Mouse, brand new off the Golden Casket. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson has pretty much came to an end here. I thank each and every one of you for checking me out, listening to me talking about the benefits of cannabis legalization, and the progress that we're making. And as you could see, there's all kinds of progress being made. And in South Dakota, it really looks sad. Everything looked, you'd say they work so hard and then they get so little. So today is really encouraging, and it's cool for South Dakota to actually feel like their wishes have been, granted. So anyway, Canna-Talk ND with Wilson is brought to you by Black Cottage Alchemy, blackcottagealchemy.com, Black Cottage Alchemy on Facebook. Body butter is, I would say, the claim to fame, if that's still a phrase being used. You can use it for pain, inflammation. It's made with kosher full spectrum CBD, North Dakota grown hemp, ND hemp seed oil, CBD, mango butter, and the 3 things that were brought to baby Jesus. This is good stuff. You can go to Tochi Products, and while you're in there, sign the ND for Freedom of Cannabis Act petition. Do your part to get cannabis legalized in our state. Or you can go to Orange Records, as far as I know. North Dakota CannabisCaucus.com can get you more information. But anyway, remember... Oh, and right after me here, Stinky Arts Music Mart. Then it's Locals on the 8. Then it's Radio Free Madness. I'll be back here next Thursday at 4 o'clock. Have yourself a safe and groovy Bang Bang Day. And get yourself some apple pie or whatever it is you do. And then... thank somebody for allowing you the freedom to do the bang bang and the pie eating. Feel me? Radio Free Fargo 95.9, radiofreefargo.org. You can stream anytime you want. Again, Stinky Arts Music Mart's coming up right after me. And what I'd like you to do is to educate yourself on the benefits of cannabis so you can educate other people, and especially this holiday weekend when you're around, because they say the elderly or the aging population is who could benefit the most from cannabis, but yet have the most kind of the dogmatic, I don't want to do it kind of concept as well. So anyway, I'm out of here. Here's Zap. So rough, so tough. Peace. Peace.